You've been faithful. You've worked hard. You've built a home, maybe even raised children together. You've given her a life of stability, and you assumed that after 10 years or more, you'd earned her loyalty forever. So why do some wives betray the very man who gave them the life they now enjoy? Let me break it to you straight. The excuses women give for cheating even after a decade of marriage are usually weak, selfish, and in many cases, insulting to the man who has stood by them. And here's the kicker. It often has very little to do with what the husband did wrong, and everything to do with her own choices, insecurities, and immaturity. Most men believe women only cheat if their husbands cheat first. That's not always the case. Sometimes she cheats simply because she can, or because she feels entitled to more than she deserves. I'm Coach Jane, and I've seen marriages collapse under the weight of betrayal. But I've also seen husbands stand tall, reclaim their dignity, and make strong decisions after facing the truth. The difference is never about the wife's actions. It's about the man's response. So stay with me, because in this video I'll break down the real reasons wives cheat after 10+ years, the blind spots that keep men from seeing it coming, and most importantly, how to handle it with strength and clarity if it happens to you. Before we dive deep, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, how many years have you been married? Because your years matter. They're years of investment, years of sacrifice, and years that deserve respect. Drop your number of years married in the comments. I want to know how many of you are 10, 15, or even 20 years strong. Let's celebrate you. Reason number 1, the boredom excuse. This is one of the most common excuses wives use when they cheat after decades together. They'll say, "I just wanted to feel alive again." Let's pause and translate that. After a decade of consistency, loyalty, and provision, she decides the life she built with you isn't exciting enough. That's not your fault. That's not about you. That's immaturity. The thrill she's chasing isn't love, it's adrenaline. And when a woman sacrifices stability for a cheap thrill, she's not only betraying her husband, she's gambling away the very foundation of her own future. If she's bored, she has choices: travel, learn a new skill, reignite the spark at home. But to betray her husband of 10+ years because she's bored? That's not empowerment. That's selfishness. Reason number 2, the emotional neglect card. Now, this one really frustrates men because it often comes out of nowhere. She'll say, "You weren't listening to me. You weren't emotionally present. You didn't meet my emotional needs." Here's the problem. If she felt that way, she had 10 years to say it. A mature wife uses her words. She communicates. She asks for change. But a cheating wife skips communication and jumps straight to betrayal.
Why?
Because blaming emotional neglect is easier than admitting she chose selfishness. And let me be clear, if you're a husband who genuinely ignored your wife, brushed her off, or lived disconnected, then yes, you need to face that. But even then, her choice to cheat was her decision. Lack of communication does not justify disloyalty. Reason number 3, the vanity crisis. This one hits around midlife. She's in her late 40s, 50s, or even 60s. She looks in the mirror and sees wrinkles. She feels her body changing. She no longer feels like the young, radiant woman she once was. Instead of embracing the loyalty of the man who has stayed, she panics. She seeks validation outside the marriage to prove to herself she still has it. But here's the harsh truth. Chasing attention from other men doesn't stop the clock. It doesn't reverse aging. All it does is create a trail of broken trust and broken dignity. Reason number 4, the revenge factor. This one is pure poison. Some wives cheat simply to get back at their husbands. Maybe they assume you've cheated. Maybe they've carried resentment from old arguments. Instead of choosing conversation, healing, and maturity, they choose betrayal. It's destructive, and it says more about her emotional immaturity than about anything you did. But notice the pattern? None of those excuses justify betrayal. After 10 years, a woman has every chance to communicate, to rebuild, to grow. Cheating isn't a mistake, it's a choice. And here's where it gets even deeper. Many men don't see it coming. Not because they're weak, but because they've been blindsided by their own loyalty. Don't go anywhere because part 2 will show you exactly why so many men miss the signs and how you can stop being blindsided. Part 2. Why men miss the warning signs. Now, let's flip the script. Because one of the biggest questions men ask me is, Jane, how could I not have seen this coming? How could I have been so blind after 10 plus years together? Here's the truth you might not want to hear. Sometimes you didn't see it because you didn't want to. You assumed that a decade of loyalty meant automatic safety. You assumed that the vows you both made all those years ago were still rock solid. But loyalty isn't automatic. It's a daily choice. And when a wife decides to stop choosing loyalty, the husband who trusts blindly is the last one to notice. So, let's talk about the 4 biggest blind spots that cause good men to miss the danger signs. Blind spot number 1, trusting too blindly. Trust is essential in marriage. Without trust, the foundation crumbles. But here's where many husbands go wrong. They confuse healthy trust with blind trust. Healthy trust means you believe in your partner, but also pay attention to reality. Blind trust means you ignore red flags because you don't want to believe she's capable of betrayal. After 10 years, you put her on a pedestal. You think, that's my wife, she'd never do this to me. But blind trust allows deception to grow in the shadows. And listen, this isn't about paranoia. I'm not saying you should turn into a detective, stalking her phone, and following her around town. I'm saying, don't ignore your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Blind spot number 2, confusing stability with loyalty. This one is a trap for almost every married man. You look at the family you've built. You look at the home, the finances, the sacrifices. And you think, she wouldn't risk all this. She values what we have too much. But here's the paradox. Sometimes, the stability you created is exactly what gives her the confidence to misbehave. She feels so secure in your loyalty, so confident in the life you've built, that she believes you'll stay no matter what. In other words, the consistency you showed as a husband gets twisted into a license for her betrayal. And that's the cruel irony. Your loyalty becomes the very thing she takes for granted. Blind spot number 3, provision without connection. Men are providers. It's in our nature to work, to build, to protect, to ensure our families are safe and stable. Many husbands believe that if they pay the bills, maintain the home, and provide financial security, then that should be enough. But here's where the disconnect happens. Provision is not the same as connection. You might have built her a house, but did you build her intimacy? You might have given her security, but did you also give her leadership? Now, let me be clear. This does not mean her cheating is your fault. No amount of lack of connection justifies betrayal. But if you confuse provision for partnership, you might have missed the growing gap between you. And here's the insult. Many women who cheat aren't lacking provision or attention. They're just ungrateful. They want the security of a good man and the thrill of outside validation. That's not your failure. That's her greed. Blind spot number 4, avoiding hard conversations. This one is subtle, but it's powerful. Too many husbands avoid confrontation. You hate nagging. You hate arguments. So what do? You stay quiet. You keep the peace. You let small issues slide. But silence doesn't protect your marriage. Silence gives her freedom to live a secret life unchecked. Think about it. When was the last time you had a brutally honest conversation with your wife about where your marriage is going? About intimacy? About respect? About loyalty? Avoiding hard conversations creates space for hidden resentments and hidden behavior. And by the time you wake up, it's not a small issue anymore. It's betrayal. Mini story, John's wake-up call. Let me share a story. I once spoke with a man named John, married for 27 years. He was the classic quiet husband, steady provider, loyal, calm. He trusted his wife completely. One day, he discovered she had been seeing another man for almost a year. He told me, "Jane, I thought keeping the peace was the best way to show love. I thought by never confronting her, I was protecting the marriage. But here's what really happened. His silence created a vacuum. She filled it with secrets. That's why I say this. Peace at all costs is not peace. It's avoidance. And avoidance is dangerous. None of these blind spots mean you're a weak man. They mean you were loyal. You were steady. You were consistent. And, ironically, those very strengths became the cracks she exploited. But here's the good news. You can reclaim control. You can handle this situation with dignity, clarity, and power. And that's exactly what we're diving into next. If this is speaking to you, hit subscribe right now. I'll keep giving you the truths most people are too afraid to say. Part 3. How men can manage betrayal with strength. You've now heard the reasons wives give for cheating. You've also seen the blind spots that cause good men to miss the warning signs. But the real test of a man's strength is not whether he saw it coming. The real test is how he handles it when the truth comes out. Because when betrayal hits, it feels like your entire world collapses. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it all flashes before your eyes, and you feel like you've been living in a lie. Many men panic. They beg. They bargain. They try to win her back at any cost. And let me tell you right now, that is the worst thing you can do. The moment you grovel, you hand her all the power. You let her betrayal define your worth. So, here's the blueprint for managing this situation with dignity and clarity. Step 1. Stop begging. Start breathing. The natural reaction is to demand answers, to cry, to plead, to ask, "Why? Why would you do this to me?" But that reaction only fuels her ego. It makes her feel like the center of your universe, even in betrayal. Instead, step back. Breathe. Get control of your emotions before you say a single word. She expects an explosion, or she expects tears. What she does not expect is calm strength. Step 2. Gather facts without drama. You don't need to scream or interrogate. You need clarity. If you suspect betrayal, or if you've confirmed it, quietly gather facts. This isn't about stalking or spying. It's about understanding reality. A man who knows the truth is powerful. A man who panics without clarity is weak. So whether you choose to confront her or not, make sure you know exactly what you're dealing with. Is it an emotional affair? A physical affair? A one-time lapse or a long-term betrayal? The facts matter. Step 3. Protect your dignity first, marriage second. This may shock you, but I'll say it anyway. Your dignity is more important than the marriage. Because if you stay with her but lose your self-respect, you lose everything. That means you do not tolerate excuses. You do not accept blame shifting. You do not allow her to point the finger at you and say, "You made me cheat." No. She made her choice. She crossed the line. She owns that decision. If she shows genuine remorse, if she's willing to do the work to rebuild, then you can decide whether the marriage deserves another chance. But that decision must come from your strength, not from your fear of being alone. Step 4. Control the narrative. When betrayal happens, many men withdraw in shame. They hide it. They let her control the story. But here's the truth. Silence gives her power. Control the narrative by being honest, direct, and calm. If she cheated, it's not your shame, it's hers. And if she wants to rebuild, it must be on your terms, not hers. Step 5. Decide with strength, not emotion. The biggest mistake men make after betrayal is rushing to a decision in the heat of pain. Some immediately file for divorce. Others immediately forgive, without boundaries. Both are reactions to pain, not reflections of strength. Here's what I tell men. Pause. Think. Breathe. Step back and decide from a place of clarity, not chaos. Ask yourself, is she truly remorseful, or just sorry she got caught? Is she willing to cut all ties with the other man, or does she hesitate? Is she taking responsibility, or still making excuses? If the answers reveal that she is serious about rebuilding, then you can set the terms. If not, you walk away with dignity intact. Michael, married 32 years, discovered his wife's affair with a coworker. His first reaction was devastation. But instead of begging, he stayed calm. He told her, "You have one choice. End it completely and commit to rebuilding with full honesty, or I walk away." She broke down. She ended the affair that night. The marriage survived, but only because he led from strength, not weakness. That's the model. Calm, clear, strong. So let's put this together. Wives cheat for reasons that are selfish and weak: boredom, insecurity, revenge, or a craving for validation. Husbands often miss the warning signs because of blind trust, confusion between provision and connection, or avoidance of tough conversations. But when betrayal happens, your response matters more than her excuse. You protect your dignity, you control the narrative, and you decide with strength. A wife who betrays after 10 years is exposing her character, not yours. The betrayal reveals her weakness, not your failure. And the man who handles it with calm authority sends a message, not just to her, but to himself, that his worth was never defined by her loyalty. Gentlemen, if this video spoke to you, don't just sit on it. Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what resonated, tell me what you've been through, and tell me how many years you've been fighting for your marriage. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it right now. Because in this space, I will always tell you the truth, unfiltered, unapologetic, and designed to help you stand stronger as a man. This is Coach Jane, reminding you, your dignity is your power. Protect it at all costs.